I am channeling my inner art teacher today. Let's do something I haven't done in a while. Let's haul some books. We went to the Strand. We shouldn't be allowed to go. Hello, book friends. It's Alyssa. Welcome back to the channel. Hello, if you're new. I haven't been doing a lot of book hauls because I have, despite some people thinking otherwise, been trying not to buy as many books in 2023. It has been wildly unsuccessful in terms of like not buying new books, but somewhat successful in buying fewer books than perhaps I did in 2022. So win lose? I don't know. My partner and I went to the city for a little day trip yesterday as of filming, and we haven't been out and about in a really long time. As you can probably imagine, two nurses during COVID, it was a little bit weird here, and we're trying to get back into a semi-normal groove of like regular day life, including like actually going out and doing more than what we normally do. Our normal going out is going down to like the local gastropub, or maybe we go to the book barn and I buy some books for like $1 a piece and then we go have lunch, or we just kind of like both veg out on our own. So we've been trying really hard to start getting back into some sort of routine, especially now that it's nice out. And our first thing was going to the city this weekend, and it was nice. I forgot that it's nice to actually get out and do stuff. We had a beautiful lunch at a random like Lebanese place. We just strolled into a place that looked nice. I have no idea what it was called. It had the best hummus. Ooh, so good. Everything was good. The cocktails were good. We had a couple nice summery cocktails. We just really enjoyed ourselves. And then we kept walking downtown and we went to the Strand because I haven't been in years and Jesus has never been, and he needed to see the wondrousness that is the Strand. If you don't know it, because for some reason you have no idea about bookstores in New York City, the Strand is like the biggest bookstore outside of maybe Powell's. I don't know who's bigger, but it is huge. It is a mix of new and used books. They have multiple floors. We did not get to all of them because we were just worn out by the time we got through what we got through the first, like the basement and the first floor. There's rare books in there. There's all kinds of things. But it's a really interesting place to go and look for books because you can find so many hidden gems. He's so into like Egyptology and like archaeology and all this stuff. So he found some out of print books that were just like on his list to try to find that are hard to find, and everybody on like Amazon or wherever is selling them for like $100 a pop, and he found them for like, I don't know, like 8-10 bucks. It's a really fun place to go. It can also be incredibly overwhelming because it is like a tourist spot. It is rather famous, but I had every intention of not going too crazy. It started off really well. When you walk into the Strand, when you walk up to the Strand, there's all these random carts with all their like $3 to $7, I think, books. And I was cruising those, and they're really hit or miss, but you can find some gems. And I found two books right off the bat that I was really excited about. One is Life with Picasso, which sounded really interesting, and Picasso is just a very interesting character. And I also have been falling in love with the catalog of New York Review of Books, and I'm kind of obsessed. And when I saw the tower of new ones that aren't all bent and being sold for $3, it took everything in me not to just be like, I want them all, because there's just something about their collection of books that they publish. I like the aesthetic of the books that they publish too. So it's just hitting so many buttons for me, this press. But anyway, so this sounded really interesting. Very excited to have found it for $3. Don't care that it's creased because I don't care about things like that. I buy used books. This is also a little beaten up, but it's A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and it's the illustrated one. And I've been wanting to read this, and I was excited to find it for like $3 because anytime you have a book that has like illustrations and stuff, these things always tend to get a little pricier. So this I'm excited to read. I know a lot of people really like A Monster Calls, so I'd like to know if I like it, and this is the version of the book that I wanted to read because it's illustrated. Then things started to get a little bit hairier because I went over to their like Penguin Classics kind of area, and I was looking for Rilke's, as it letters to a young poet, from a young poet, preposition young poet. I was looking for that because I really do want to read them because I keep hearing about that collection of letters, and I really want to see what it's all about. It's kind of keeps coming up on people's and being referred to by people as like a book everybody should read before they die kind of thing. Like it's just got great life lessons. Anyway, I was looking for that, didn't find that. But what I did find were two Iris Murdochs who I don't know a lot about, but a lot of people I know really love Iris Murdoch. So I want to try her out. And so I found they only had two, so I just picked them both up and they were like fairly priced. I think they were like $10 and $11, which anyway, it seems a bit much for like a really beat up paperback, but that's okay. We're gonna go with it. A Fairly Honorable Defeat and Nuns and Soldiers. Again, I don't know what either of these are actually about, but I just grabbed what I could find, and I will start here on my Iris Murdoch journey, and we'll see if I enjoy her as well. I'm losing the book that's on my lap right now. And then I grabbed a copy of North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell because I've been wanting to read this for a very long time and I don't own a copy. And this was $7. And I'll be honest with you, I've tried to get this off of Pango a couple times, and I feel like every time I go, they're reasonably high priced for some reason, like once I put in shipping and stuff, and I don't want to use my Pango bucks when I know I could probably get it for less. So this seemed to be like kind of in the middle. I might have been able to find it at the book barn for $1, but every time I've gone, and now I haven't been going as much as I used to go like last year, but I haven't found as many. I haven't found this yet in the couple times that I have been to the book barn this year. So happy to have North and South. I know that like Victorian Lit gets a lot of flack from some people here on BookTube. I think that it's either like you love Victorian Lit or you find it very tedious or you just don't like Victoriana. But I'm really interested in this one. I think this has got like a lot of social commentary that I would dig, and I feel like the ladies of Victoriana are a little bit more palatable than the dudes. I found another New York Review of Books, and I don't know anything about this lady, but it sounded really interesting, and I read a little bit of the introduction by her, and it was fascinating. So this is Images and Shadows, Part of a Life by Iris Origo, and she just sounded like a very interesting lady, I guess. So this is an autobiographical account of her early life as perspective and humane and beautifully written as her celebrated memoir, War in Valdorixia. I don't know how to say that. Her father came from an old moneyed American family, and her mother was the daughter of an Irish peer. She grew up in a privileged life. Her dad died of tuberculosis when he was 30. Her mom moved to Italy, and she and Iris, I guess, had close friendships with some really interesting people. And it sounds like she led like a really interesting life. In Images and Shadows, Origo paints portraits of her shy, loving father and her headstrong mother and describes beloved places, the books that formed her sensibility, and how she grew up, made her way in the world. She reflects on the pleasures and challenges of writing and evokes the persistence and fragility of memory. Just sounded really interesting. And again, it's New York Review of Books. I'm becoming a sucker for them. If I see them when I'm thrifting, I do just kind of grabbed them. I headed over to before I left like the fiction world. That's not fiction. That was down in the travel section. But before I left the fiction world, I went over to look for Rilke, not in like the Penguin Classics. I went over to general fiction. They didn't have it, but they did have Gwendolyn Riley's First Love. I loved My Phantoms. Kieran, she's read this and she really liked this, so I had to get this. It's full price, but I got it. It's also New York Review of Books. New York Review of Books. I'm becoming a hoe for you. I'm a tour hoe and a New York Review of Books hoe. And then finally, I did go over to fantasy, and this is when I started to lose steam. There was this really interesting moment. I was on one side of a set of shelves, and this guy came over with some person. It was just interesting listening to him talk to this woman, and he was one of those people in fantasy who's like a purist about things. And if you read fantasy, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Like he came in hot, like shitting on somebody about like their takes on the lore of Tolkien and how he like messes with the lore and he's just like this terrible person. But then he says in the same breath, which I think is really funny, or in the next breath, he goes, who's this Brandon Sanderson guy? Like everybody talks about Brandon Sanderson and like his friend or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, I've read Mistborn. So it was just this really interesting conversation to hear this like incredibly sort of stereotypical exchange of sort of elitist intellectualism around books. Um inside the bookstore. It was great. I don't know. I don't know if I'm articulating this well, but I really enjoyed just listening to these people talk. And I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be fun if I still lived in Manhattan and I just went to the Strand on the regular and just had an Instagram account that was just like things overheard at the Strand? Because I think you would hear some funny things there. But anyway, I only found a couple things there in the fantasy section. And one was the three body problem. I recently found, I think, book 2 in this for like $1. So I picked this up. It was a hell of a lot more than $1, but I guess the author has some, I don't know, but he's questionable in some way in terms of, I guess, some of the things that he supports or doesn't speak out against with the Chinese government, but there's a lot of nuance and stuff going into that. Anyway, I really wanted to read this series. This is something that a lot of people reference. Emily St. John Mandel referenced it as one of her favorite sort of sci-fi fantasy SFF books when asked about that in an interview that I went to go see, an author talk that I went to go see. So it's very much piqued my interest in reading this series, this trilogy. And if I figured, you know what, it's safe, I'll buy it used. It's much safer that way. I'm not contributing to anything other than the Strand. And then finally, and I was really excited to see this because I've been meaning to read this. I've read the novella that is a companion to this. I don't know if it falls before or after, but I've never read the actual book, and it's one of Naomi's favorites, and that is Mira Grant's Into the Drowning Deep. So I finally have this on my shelves, so I can finally read this. It's about freaking time. And that was all fine. That wasn't that bad. It was a pretty decent little haul, but Jesus found something for me. If you've been here for any length of time, you know that I have a massive love of Rebecca. And I am slowly taking myself out of just reading Du Maurier's Rebecca over and over again and reading her other works. I have read so far Rebecca, Jamaica Inn, and My Cousin Rachel. I still have several more to go. I recently found another one called like Mary Beth, Mary Jane, I don't know, Mary something. And then I have Britannia, which is kind of like a sci-fi speculative book of hers, and Frenchman's Creek. Those are ones that I'm trying to get to that are in my sphere. But anyway, he holds this thing up to me and he says, look what I found. The 4 Cornish novels. So these are the Folio Society editions of the 4 Cornish novels from like the early 90s. They were, when we were on the train home, we were talking and I was like, I kind of feel like this was overpriced. And he's like, no, I don't think that was overpriced, Alyssa. Like, I think that was really fairly priced. And I was like, no, it feels really overpriced. I feel like I could find this maybe at like a library book sale, something like that. He's like, I don't know, Alyssa. Then I got home and realized they're Folio Society. And I don't think it was overpriced. I think it was rather fairly priced. But I'll take these out of their slipcase and show them to you because they are in pristine condition and they are beautiful. So we have My Cousin Rachel. I love that you put them together and you get this beautiful Cornish coast. And because they're Folio Society, they of course have illustrations throughout. They're not like, I think my Rebecca edition that I got recently for a birthday from Folio Society, the new version of it, I think is prettier, but I never say no to a Rebecca edition that I don't already own. I have too many of them. There is a just for kicks ASMR video of me going through them all here on the channel because there's an ASMR creator. I watch a lot of ASMR. You can make fun of me, I don't care. Creator that talks about books occasionally. She's given me some pretty interesting book recommendations just from watching her. And anyway, she really likes Rebecca as well. And she was talking about editions. She didn't like the edition that she got. And I was like, I'm going to make a response and talk to you about, show you all my Rebecca editions. So that is here on this channel because there are a lot of them. But anyway, so this is Frenchman's Creek, which made me really excited because I feel like when I'm out thrifting for books and we're looking for Du Maurier, I rarely ever find Frenchman's Creek. So it's nice to see it. It's always like Jamaica and My Cousin Rachel, Rebecca, because I feel like those are the three that people really read the most. They don't really read Frenchman's Creek, but I'm excited to finally have them. This is the beautiful Rebecca, which I didn't realize like how big My Cousin Rachel and Rebecca is in comparison, but they're really pretty. Really, really pretty. And I'm super excited about this. So this is where things kind of got a little out of control because I did not intend to come home with 4 Folio Society hardback beautiful books that cost more than the books I bought before. But I couldn't leave it there. It had to come home and be in my collection. One day, the poor person that has to clean out my house when I die is going to be like, what am I going to do with all these? This is the pride and joy from this book haul, and I really am grateful for Jesus for showing these to me because I I wouldn't have seen it because I walked literally right by it. And this is why you get yourself a partner who is also obsessed with books. Anyway, I'm going to love on these and get ready to film more videos today because I have a lot of catching up to do in terms of content for you guys. So look out for more videos from me because I'm finally home for a couple days. It's been really hectic with new job and I can finally get a bunch of content filmed. I have an entire list next to me of things that I've been thinking about and like wanting to do for you guys and I haven't been able to. So I'm really excited to actually sit down and do this for you today. So yeah, thank you for like your patience while I get content out. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye. So just sit with me.